You've probably heard this story 1,000 times, right? The colossal titan, Blockbuster, getting absolutely crushed by this scrappy little startup called Netflix. But here's the thing. This isn't just a story about a big company getting lazy or failing to adapt. No, it's way deeper. This story is a perfect masterclass in a powerful and honestly often misunderstood business theory that we're going to unpack right now.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 2000. Blockbuster is, well, they're everything. The undisputed king of home entertainment. And Netflix? They're this tiny DVD by mail service, basically just trying to survive after the dot-com bubble burst. So, their founders, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph, they fly to Dallas to make a pitch to the giant. They offer a partnership. Netflix will run Blockbuster's online brand, and Blockbuster will promote Netflix in their thousands of stores.
And that was the price. Netflix offered to sell the entire company to Blockbuster for just $50 million. And the response from Blockbuster's CEO, John Antioco, the story goes, he basically laughed them out of the room. He just couldn't see them as a threat. To him, Netflix was just some tiny niche player in a market that he absolutely dominated.
Now, it is so easy for us to look back with 2020 hindsight and just call it arrogance. But the real reason is a lot more complex, and it's a trap that even the smartest companies can fall into. The answer lies in a really powerful concept that explains why successful, well-managed companies so often fail when faced with radical change.
To really get what happened here, we need to dig into this amazing framework from Harvard Business School. It's the theory of disruptive innovation. And what's so powerful about it is that it doesn't just describe what happened, it actually explains why it happened, and why, in a way, it was almost inevitable.
So the most important thing to get is that disruption isn't just a buzzword for any big new thing. It's a very specific process. It all starts when a new company completely ignores the most profitable customers of a big, established business. Instead, they go after customers at the very low end of the market, or they create a brand new market with people who weren't even customers before.
And this right here, this is the trap. Think about it. If you're a big, successful company, what do? You listen to your best, most demanding customers. You keep making your product better and better for them, adding more features, better quality, and charging more money. But in doing that, you eventually overshoot the needs of most people. Your product becomes too good, too expensive, or just too complicated, and that creates a vacuum, an opening, right at the bottom of the market.
This highlights a really key difference. See, most innovation is what we call sustaining. It's about making a good product even better, like a TV with a clearer picture, or a razor with a fifth blade. Blockbuster was a master at this. But disruptive innovation is a totally different animal. It creates a product that mainstream customers at first think is worse. But, and this is the key, it's also simpler, more convenient, or a heck of a lot cheaper.
All right, so with that theory in our heads, let's circle back to Blockbuster. They were the perfect incumbent, a well-oiled machine, expertly managing a wildly successful business. But that very success is what created their massive blind spot.
I mean, just look at the scale of this operation. At their peak in the early 2000s, Blockbuster was a global empire with over 9,000 stores. That iconic blue and yellow torn ticket was everywhere. Their whole world was built around one thing, having a store on every corner, all about physical convenience.
But here was their secret weakness, and oh, it was a big one. At its height, the company was making nearly $800 million a year from late fees alone. That was a staggering 16% of their revenue. So while it was a huge cash cow, it was also the single biggest reason their customers couldn't stand them.
So you see, their model was classic sustaining innovation. They focused on what made them the most money, renting new releases to people who came into their stores and, you got it, paying late fees. Every single incentive in their system was designed to protect this business model, not to invent a new one.
And then, in comes the disruptor. Netflix didn't try to build a better Blockbuster, they built something completely different. Something that, at first, looked like an absolute joke to the executives in Dallas.
The origin story is just legendary, right? Reed Hastings gets the idea after getting hit with a huge $40 late fee, so from its very first day, the DNA of Netflix was all about solving the biggest pain point in the rental game. The launch of their subscription model in '99 was the key. It completely wiped out the whole idea of being late.
This comparison really says it all. Blockbuster was about instant gratification, getting the new releases right away with a system that punished you for being late. Netflix was the total opposite. It was patient, you had to wait for DVDs in the mail, it was forgiving, no late fees, ever, and it offered this massive library of older films, not just the latest hits.
It was a completely different promise to the customer. And this is so key. Netflix did not steal Blockbuster's core customers at first. They established what the theory calls a low-end foothold. They went after the niche groups that Blockbuster just ignored, the early adopters of DVD players and the movie buffs who had huge watch lists. To Blockbuster, this just looked like a tiny, unprofitable corner of the market.
By the time Blockbuster finally woke up and saw the threat, the game had already changed. They tried to copy Netflix, but it was just a mess. Their online service was too little, too late, and when they finally got rid of late fees in 2005, they basically shot themselves in the foot. They gave up $200 million in revenue, which crippled their own profitable model, but they still couldn't truly compete with Netflix's lean mail order system.
The end of this story is pretty famous. Bankruptcy for Blockbuster, world domination for Netflix. But this incredible reversal of fortunes offers some really powerful lessons that are just as relevant today as they were back then.
I mean, the numbers tell the final story. From a company Blockbuster could have bought for $50 million, Netflix became a media titan with a market cap in the hundreds of billions. This chart just perfectly shows the massive financial consequences of getting disruption wrong.
So what are the big lessons here? First off, disruption isn't a sudden explosion. It's a slow-moving process that starts out on the fringes. Second, ignoring competitors who are serving those niche markets with a good enough solution can be a fatal mistake. And finally, and this might be the biggest one, Netflix proved that a superior business model, one that erases customer pain points, can ultimately beat a company with what seems like a more convenient product.
And that leaves us with one last big question. If you apply this exact framework of disruptive innovation and look around at the world today, who is the modern Blockbuster? Which dominant company is so focused on serving its high-end customers that it's leaving a huge vacuum at the bottom? And what small, overlooked startup is patiently building a new model that one day could change everything?